Do you think Daigo picking that game up was really of his own choice?
Definitely not. I know that he's played crazy games before, you know, Vampire Savior, Guilty Gear, but I'm not sure if he's ever really thought, I want to be the best at this game. His level on arcade, you know, Street Fighter Arcade Edition is clearly a big difference from his level on, you know, like Guilty Gear or what was the other one I said, or Third Strike even, or any other fighting game for that matter. So I'm thinking that possibly the pressure of being a sponsored player has affected his freedom of how and what fighting games to play, and that's something we all go through, I guess. You know, at the end of the day, you're going to be slightly offensive if you don't kind of not obey, but sort of take on board the wants and needs of the team that are paying for you to fly everywhere. You know, a lot of players say stuff like, oh, you know, this Ryan's a tier whore and stuff like that. But I'd like to ask those players, I mean, if a company was paying for them to fly around and win competitions, would they really pick a low tier? And if they did pick a low tier and lose a tournament, how would they respond to the manager if the manager then said, why, you know, so why did you lose? Oh, my character's weak. Why are you picking a weak character? We're paying grands for you to do what you do. Why don't you do what works? So it's definitely, you know, a big difference now that I'm a sponsored player as opposed to just being a regular player. Because back in the day I had a lot of freedom with characters. I used to use a lot of what could be classed as middle or lower tier characters. I mean, on King of Fighters now, yeah, I remember the trip to France where I played Bruno. I think my team was like Clark, Takuma and Saishu or something, you know, and he had like Evil Chris and, you know, a lot of the higher level cast of characters. So, you know, I'm just saying that a lot of the choices I make now are down to what I can do for my team and how that's going to be effective.
Now that you're a sponsored player,
yeah,
and so now you have to, instead of playing for fun, you have to play to win.
You have to play to win. You have to kill everyone.
Kill everyone indeed.
Kill them all.
Although I did hear one time, I think there's a semi-famous quote now. There's a guy I remember. He used to say, "I don't play for fun, and I don't play to win. I play for fun to win."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Right, but so when you're playing a game, do you feel like your personality changes? Does your mindset change?
Well, I definitely think I've always had a different personality in game than out game. Obviously, you have to take on board a personality that has no mercy, total killing machine, something that brings T-1000 from Terminator 2 to mind, and you are only there for the purposes of defeating your opponent, immobilizing them till they're squirming on the floor, you know, and that's not because that's your nature, it's just because that's how you win on the game. Those are the rules of the fight, so that's what you have to do to win. And I think that it's really a lot easier said than done to maintain this, you know, personality, this persona in match, because some people just don't feel comfortable being that raw, that cold, you know, it's not in their nature. So I don't know, I do have somewhat of a mean streak aside my friendliness, so I don't know, maybe that plays a part, maybe that sort of comes out, some kind of alter ego comes out when I step on the machine, I don't know. But you'll find with a lot of the players that win, they're very what's the word to use? I'm not sure. I mean, they're very cold, you know, it's a very cold and dark and kind of evil stance that they maintain, the mentality that they have when they're winning, you know, and it seems that that's what wins. I mean, you know, you can't be a champion by just being this nice guy on the game. Outside the game, yes, because you have to be respectful of everyone else. If there are other top players around, or even people that aren't as good as you are, you have to be respectful of everyone. You know, top players have people better than you, have been to your level and have passed your level. People who are up and coming, you've been them. You've been those people who were getting, you know, you've been the player that was the weakest in a group of friends or the crappiest at the arcade, and you've, you know, come past that. But it doesn't mean now you can disrespect anyone else. So for this community to thrive and grow in a positive way, I think everyone should respect everyone. So off the game, it's definitely really important to have a very respectful and you know, positive and pleasant manner about you, especially if you're good as well, because people are going to look up to you.
So do you think, you know, you have to carry a completely professional personality, which is different
totally.
to who you really are?
Totally. No. Totally. I definitely feel like I should be on best behavior now, because before my name there are these 3 syllables that represent a company. So I have to be on best behavior because that's what everyone would want to see. I mean, that's what's needed, isn't it? You know, that's one of the requirements. I mean, it goes without saying. It's not like they sit me down and say, right, you better do this for us. No, but it's common sense that will tell you that, you know, if a company's doing this for you, then that's the least you can do for them. So you wouldn't want to soil the name of another top brand just for your own, I don't know, devious missions, you know. I think that for me, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to represent them in a corporate manner, so to speak. Which doesn't help when you get trolled online.
Yeah, that's the next thing, isn't it? So what do you do? How do you deal with these people who just look at you and
that's the thing. I mean,
make up this
people
character?
Come to me, you know, people write on forums or like, oh, you know, Ryan Hart's this, and then I catch wind of it and I want to reply. It's like I've got itchy fingers, but I can't say what I want to say because it wouldn't be right in my position to say that, because I don't want to give the impression that when you're a certain level, it's okay to do this and that. I'd like to, you know, I'd like to differentiate that there's this kind of player and that kind of player, and I hope to be part of a positive team, a group of players who are showing, you know, how we should be as pro players. It's not just execution on the game; it's also personality and behaviour off the game as well.